Hi Floss Tube, it's Diane. I thought I would do a pre-Mirabilia update. I'm just moving things, sorry. When it actually records it, it changes what I see on the screen. It's weird. It's my phone. I am getting prepped to go to the Mirabilia retreat. Let me pause you just 1 second. Okay. In 2016, it was in Cincinnati. That was the first cross-stitching retreat I'd ever been to. I've been to a couple of times getting together with some ladies in my area, having a lot of fun stitching. But that was the first retreat I went to. And it was in Cincinnati, and I know I met Pam. I know we didn't talk very long, but I remember seeing her there. And this was my t-shirt I bought then. It says Mirabilia. Ladies with an attitude. So I'm bringing this. I'm not wearing it in the airport because, oh, they'll probably frisk me. And it was funny when I was watching Priscilla and Chelsea and talking about Priscilla getting frisked and her hands tested. I'm in that category, Priscilla. I have no idea why. I'm the person they stop when you go to the Walmart because they want, even though they watch me put everything in my cart. I don't think they like underwire. I mean, yeah. Anyway, I'm getting ready to go. So I was doing my packing and stuff, and I thought, well, I'm going to do this video. I wanted to do it last night, but Mozzie and Stormy both have some kind of virus. They're like two kids, essentially. Mozzie was up all night coughing and hacking, and the poor pup, he's still not resting. It's like, you need to rest. But he doesn't get it. So yeah, it was a long night last night. Otherwise, I'd have done this video last night. So we'll see if this video goes up before I leave on retreat. It might go up after I come back. We'll see. But life updates. I had a post-op appointment, and doctor's happy with how my progress is going. I'm not happy with how my progress is going because it's going so slow. But I need to take the time. I need to just chill and rest and let the dust bunnies fall where they do. I need to let it go. But yes, I have medical release and all that for travel. And I'm feeling stronger, getting my endurance. But it's weird because like Sunday, the kids and I, 10 of the kids and I, went to the grocery store. Which, okay. I teach my kids, don't stare and point at people and glare at people. Just because we have a large group going through the store of, well, they were well behaved. They were well behaved, no screaming, fighting. None of that happened. They were by me. They were within earshot because I couldn't lift anything. So I was so happy with how well behaved they were. But people glaring at them. I'm sitting thinking, you know, let's put your shopping cart next to my 2 shopping carts. Or really, it was one of those that has the car thingy, you know, so it's really like half a cart because you can't put a lot in there. And let's see which one the store manager would prefer to have in their store. Yeah, my money is just as good as yours, and chances are I had another decimal or another 0 on the end of mine. Oh, it's annoying. And the hardest part is to explain to the kids, why were people staring at us, Mom? You know, because they're complete idiots is what you want to say. And I told one of my sons, I said, you feel like you want to hand out those neck braces because people are going like this. You know, they're counting how many kids and stuff. I'm like, I don't even have all my kids here. Oh, I don't stare at other people in stores. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, my progress is just going slow, and I mean it's progress, and I need to allow myself healing time. It's just I I got things that need to get done. Now that it's finally warm here in Minnesota, yay. I got a list. We're going to put in a paver patio in the backyard, which I just sprung on my husband, and he's like, you know, that would be kind of a cool idea though, with a built-in fire pit. And he goes, well, oh, what about a built-in barbecue smoker pizza oven thingy? And I'm like, okay. So we're going to focus on the patio fire pit part this year, and then probably the other part next year or so. Figure out how to do that. And he was kind of mad at me because I went to Home Depot by myself. I was fine. I just used, I was low, and I used the shopping cart. I brought some pavers home. He said, how did you bring those home? I said, I made sure none of them were over 10 pounds. 20 pounds is my limit. And I put one in the cart at a time and one in the van at a time. Yeah. So needless to say, when I go to San Antonio, my kids have already said, Mom, don't lift anything. My husband, he's out of town on business. He wasn't supposed to be, but his work changed their mind. He was supposed to be home. That's one reason I thought, oh, I can go. And so he called me last night, and he's like, okay, now when you go to the airport, you need to walk slow. You need to give yourself time. You're probably going to have to walk a long way, so you're going to have to take breaks. It's like, okay, dear, thanks. The MSP airport is a sizable airport. It's not, I know it's not the biggest in the nation, but it's laid out that chances are I'm going to have to go in and then turn around and walk pretty much all the way back to Highway 5 to get on my plane. But, and my mom and my friends who I've met before in San Antonio are, yeah. And then the new friends I'm going to meet, yeah. I'm not going to be able to get away with anything. Not that I really want to. But May 5th, we had a graduate. So here's our son who graduated. Yeah, number 5. Lord willing, 9 more to go out of our homeschool. Our homeschool organization does a really nice ceremony, cap, gown, pomp, circumstance, the whole bit. So that was May 5th was the graduation. May 4th, my mom and I went to Stitchville because my mom stitches and mother-daughter time, and it was kind of the calm before all the graduation stuff. Because graduation day, it's busy and it's, you know, emotional and everything. So it's a long day. It's a good day, but it's a long day. And so we went to Stitchville, and I was there. I found a few patterns, which I'm going to show. And I heard a laugh. I thought, where do I know that laugh from? And I heard it again, and another laugh and some talking. I'm like, ha! So I turned the corner, and here's Holly and Anita from Holly and Anita here on FlossTube. I forgot that there was the Midwest Stitches retreat, spring retreat that weekend, and here they were. And so I thought, oh, yeah, I'm going to introduce myself. It's hard for me to introduce myself to people. So if you see this before San Antonio and you're there, just say hi. So I introduced myself, and another lady named Kay came up, and she said she set up a FlossTube channel, but I don't remember if she'd put a video up. And I can't remember the name of her channel. I've been trying to think of what it is. Something about come and sip tea with me or something along that line. If anybody knows, she's from Louisiana. She lives in Missouri. She was at the retreat. If you know what her channel is, put it below, please. I'd like to watch her. And then up walks Candy from Candy Stitches and her friend Sharon. And it was so funny because it was like we all knew each other for years, and oh, hi, how you doing? It was just really funny. I did watch Candy's post-retreat video. She should have titled it, though. She should have titled it Sweet William and the Purple Cadillac. There's a whole story behind that. But then we talked and laughed a little bit. And it's funny because I think it was Anita posted a picture of our group, and I was in the back. Somebody said, who's in the back? And oh, it's mondot stitches. Well, she looks a little scared. Really, I wasn't scared. I just was thinking, well, I'm not in the retreat. Should I be in the picture? Should I not? But we're flossed. Oh, what the heck. And so I was in the picture, but also still recovering from surgery and I have to be careful. It's amazing how you think, oh, I can just turn this way. And it's like your body says, no. So I was trying to, because I knew the Saturday was going to be a long day. So, and then I went and found my mom and we were chatting. And then my mom wanted to get some fabric because she doesn't have an LNS near her. Stitchville is her LNS. So she's doing a series of 4 pieces, and I did not ask her what the series was, but she wanted to make sure that she wanted like a off-white white fabric. She said, but I wanted to make sure that they were all the same shade, so I didn't have a bright white and an ivory, and so she found some, and then I found a piece, and I'll show. And so there were some ladies there at the fabric wall, and this one lady, she had a notebook and she was highlighting and writing things down, very organized. And I looked at her, and I don't remember if she spoke or she turned, and I said, Yvonne? And it was Yvonne the Night Owl Stitcher. And I know she's watched my videos in the past and has commented on them. So I shook her hand. She was down on this little footstool thing, and I was standing. And I can't bend over, and I didn't want to ask her to stand up, otherwise, next time we meet, Yvonne, a proper hug, okay? But it was fun, and I said, well, I saw you in October, and you were in the store, but I didn't want to bother you. And she said, oh, honey, just bother away. So I imagine actually having a chance to sit there and chat with her beyond these few minutes. I look forward to doing that one day. One day, the Midwest Stitchers Retreat, which is near me, will work for my schedule one of these days. But yeah, that was pretty cool. And then we went home, and the next day, they asked the graduates to be there early to run through some rehearsal. So my husband took the grad in my next year's grad because he was an usher. They got there at 9. I brought everybody else over at 11, and then we ate lunch, and the boys got their white button-down shirts with the collar and the tie. And as a mom of 11 boys, by the time Mini Dot graduates, I will be tying double Windsor knots in my sleep. And it's funny because my grad, you just see how their brains work. Because I was trying to teach him that way, you go around this way and over through here, visualize it, and he's like, he's a very concrete, literal thinker. And it didn't make sense to him what I was telling him. So I just tied it for him, and it looked pretty good. I'm getting good at those. And then my oldest daughter tied the other's tie, his tie, because she's getting good at doing that. She's got 11 brothers. She's got experience. And then we went in, and there's some time, kind of, they take a class picture, and just some downtime before the actual ceremony starts. And I'll admit, I was kind of sad because I had texted my Marine earlier in the week, and usually he gets back to me within 24 hours, 48 hours, and he had been trying to get back for his brother's graduation. And I said, well, are you in training? And the training that he's going to next, very limited access to electronics. So I didn't hear from him, so I thought, okay, he's in that training. And I was kind of sad because I thought, well, I'm not going to have all the kids here. And so I was getting everybody situated. You two can't sit next to each other, doing the mom thing. And we had assigned seats. They assigned the family seats, the immediate family. And in walks some friends. Their brother was graduating and stuff. And I was just kind of, okay. It's okay. And then behind them, with the biggest sheepish grin, was my Marine. He flew in that morning. I didn't know. My husband didn't know. Nobody knew. And he had flown in like midnight that morning, and And here he comes, and he's just standing there. I don't think I could speak for a good 10 minutes, I will admit. And I just gave him a big hug. One of those hugs that you don't want to let go. And he said he had brought a uniform. He was going to come in uniform because it's a graduation like that, a formal graduation like that is perfectly fine to wear their Class A's, the green one. And I just couldn't speak for a good 10 minutes. And the grad found out, and he came in and they shook hands, brother to brother, and he had the Marine, he had chosen to change out of his uniform partially because it was really hot. We went from like 20s the week before. It was almost 90 degrees on the 5th. It just boom, it was hot. And environmental systems take a while to get used, get all the moisture out of the air and that type of thing, and they just hadn't had time to catch up, so it was hot and sticky in that room. And he said, and I also don't, it's his day. I don't want to take any of his thunder. And so he was wearing civvies. But yeah, I was just... after the ceremony, okay, if you haven't graduated, anybody, can I give you 2 tips? Kleenex. Even the dad. Okay. And 2, don't expect to go home and make your grad's favorite meal and you said, no. Go out to dinner. Get takeout. Just extend the celebration that way, because it is a long day, and it's emotionally good and it's sad, and it's just exhausting. So just to extend the celebration and get takeout, or just go out to dinner. Whatever kind of floats your boat in that respect. That's what we did. We went out to dinner. And we went home and we had Nadia's cupcakes because my grad did not want an ice cream cake. And he also didn't want a cake from our local grocery store. Mainly because he works there. And he's like, Mom, they're not that good. So we got a Nadia cupcakes. I had one of the strawberry ones. That was good. It was like biting into an actual strawberry. It was that good. It wasn't so sickening sweet because I thought, oh, it's going to be sickening. It wasn't. And not to mention, a cupcake is just the right size, so you're not have this monster piece of cake that you have to worry about. Will it be rude if I leave half of it on the plate? But I realize, as a mom, having all 14 of my children in the same place at the same time is not going to happen often at this point, because the older kids are doing their thing, and so I got my Mother's Day gift early. I had all 14 of my kids in my house at the same time. So we went home and played cards and stuff and chatted. And so my Marine was home. I asked my grad, I said, well, what do you think? He said, I think it's kind of cool, Mom, that he made all the arrangements and paid for his ticket and all that for my graduation. So my grad thought it was pretty cool. I had to take my Marine to the airport yesterday. It's a good thing. It's good to see him doing something he loves, achieving his goals. And all military moms will say this, it's just hard. The see you laters are hard. Because they're bittersweet. And, it was 4 months, almost to the day, since we had seen him, and I don't know when we'll see him this time. But I gave him a hug and told him I was proud of him. So if you saw a woman driving back from the MSP airport on 494 yesterday in a white car, that was probably me crying. I wasn't weeping and wailing and stuff, but there's a t-shirt on Amazon I'm going to order for myself I've decided I'm going to order it for myself. It says, Proud Marine Mom. Proud Marine Mom, it doesn't get easier, you get stronger. Yeah. Anyway. I'm going to try and insert pictures here that we took after the graduation ceremony. A group shot of all 16 of us. And then my husband and I and the grad, and my parents and the grad. And my Marine is in the front row. Front row, your left. Kind of a gray-green shirt. And, yeah. I'm going to try and put them in here. Okay, hopefully that worked. My last video, I don't know what happened. I did on my husband's computer, and he's hardwired to the internet. We have cable internet, and it just didn't want to work. It just didn't want to work. So hopefully this will work. Otherwise, you guys will be seeing this after San Antonio. Yeah. Husband's out of town. He asked his bosses in January if they wanted him out of town for this conference. Oh no, we're not sending anybody there. And they're like, oh, you gotta go. So when I fly out to San Antonio, my husband and I are literally going to be in the air on 2 different airplanes because he's going to be coming into MSP and I'm going to be taking him. So I'm going to drive the car there, tell him where it's at. He's going to pick it up. Nuts. Oh, and then when I come back from San Antonio, Texas, my husband and I will meet in the airport, probably baggage claim area. Oh, well, you haven't decided that part yet. Chat, catch up a little bit, because my husband will be flying out to Texas. Dallas Fort Worth, about, I guess, 300 miles from San Antonio, for a different conference that his bosses in January said, oh no, we don't want you going to those. So I'm becoming very familiar with the road between here and the airport, which 494 France Avenue. Anybody in the Twin Cities? I hear you groaning right now. France Avenue to 35W. Oh, pain in the butt. It doesn't matter what time of day of the week. It's always backed up. Always. But anyway, we shall survive. And then we had the puppies in daycare during graduation because of the distance from where the graduation was at to we just couldn't feed the puppies. And they were immunized and all that. Well, then Mozzie had his fit last night, and Stormy was coughing too. And took Mozzie to the vet. He's on prescriptions now. Not Bordetella, but something that he picked up, because that's the last time he's been with a group of other dogs. Because our schedule's been June, we're trying to walk him to the park and all that. Yeah, so I had to call them and say, you infected my dog. Poor puppy. He was having such a hard time. And what do? It's poor dog. Anyway, finishes. Since I've been recovering and I have to sit with my feet up, I've been stitching, binge watching Match Game, binge watching Floss Tube, binge watching The Closer, and now on Major Crimes, because Major Crimes is a spin-off of The Closer. And I'm on season 5 of Major Crimes. I haven't seen season 6 at all. My husband and I watched season 5 but I'm trying to get the storyline into season 6 because season 6 is for last year. And then I watched Stitching Jules mentioned Lost in Space, so I watched the first one. Yeah, she said she wasn't into it on the first one, but her husband said wait a few episodes, so I'm going to try it again. And I do have to say, at the end of the first episode, it gave me a feel similar to Battlestar Galactica, which was a series, yes, I watched the series. Honestly, I didn't like it the first, 2 seasons, but the last season was... Okay, no spoilers. I'm not going to give any spoilers. But I have been able to get some stitching done. And so my first finish in April was this one. Plum Street Samplers, Sampler House 3. This one. Now, Priscilla purchased this when they did kind of their informal shop hop. Went to some different stitching shops. First of all, this already is charted for hickory sticks in the roof. So Priscilla should be happy. You gotta watch their videos to understand that. And I stitched mine on 36 count. Priscilla stitches all her stuff on 28 count. So it'll be interesting to see the size difference. And I used 1 strand over 2 threads. And this type of piece, I like that. This called for Weeks, Gast, Classic Colorworks, just different ones. I had 4 of them. I bought the 2 reds that are in the house. You probably can't tell. It's hard. You really have to look close. But there's there's a lighter red and a darker red. So there's a lighter red here and a darker red here, and those are in the house. The darker red makes kind of a chevron look, and it gives it more depth and a brick-like look. Yeah, you can't see it on camera. I didn't realize that until I started stitching it, but it really helps with that brick look. So I bought those 2 because I know reds on over dyes are ones I often find you can see the variegation more. And then I already had hickory sticks, which is in the roof, and I already had Ye Olde Gold. It's here on the eagle. All the other colors I subbed out. My other overdyes. Now the dark, almost black, is Onyx by Weeks Dye Works. The white is Grits by Weeks Dye Works. The dark green in the trees here is Weeping Willow Crescent Colors, or excuse me, Classic Colorworks. Crescent Colors became Classic Colorworks, and my L&S, sometimes when you buy those colors, they have the old label on them. So sometimes I go with what the label says. And then the light green, which is also these star things in the trees, is Dried Sage, Weeks Dye Works. And the blue is Blue Bonnet, or Blueberry. I think it's Blue Bonnet, Weeks Dye Works. So yeah, stitch this one up. This is my first finish in April. Now the 36 count R&R Reproductions Weathered Shingle. I really like this color. I prefer Lakeside Linens just a little bit more than R&R, but R&R is a quality linen. And then when I finished that, I jumped into this one. Farmhouse Christmas, Grandpa's Truck. Now this has an intentional change and an unintentional change. The snowman as charted looks, sorry, I don't know where my chart is, other than show you. On the original chart, it kind of is really narrow down here. And then his face originally is 4 stitches across with 2 French knots for eyes. No, I'm really thinking of, there's 2 ways I'm thinking of finishing this. And if I finish these as pillow ornaments, you're going to be taking ornaments in and out of something. The eyeballs are going to fall off. Just knowing my French knots. And I can make that first French knot. I mean, it'll look like I should be given courses on how to give French knots. That second one never looks right. Excuse me. So what I did is I made the face 5 stitches wide. So white, black, white, black. White, black, white, black, white. I'm like, wait a minute. So they're full crosses. here on the face. So then essentially I kind of split the snowman in half and added a whole column of stitches. And then I kind of rounded him out down here because snowmen are bottom heavy. I think that's one reason I don't like Olaf and Frozen, because, sorry, he should be. I think of the Burl Ives stop animation snowman from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So I made that, and then I had to take a few stitches off of this so you have the separation. But it turns fine. It looks fine. It really does. And then I stitched this one. I stitched all the white everywhere. It just made sense. And then I went back and I stitched all the red. And then I started stitching over here on the green, or maybe the brown. It was probably the brown. Anyway, that doesn't matter. But I noticed I had made an error here, county error. So I'm like, oh, I'll just remove those few red stitches and then restitch it. And I was looking and I was looking. I'm like, this doesn't look right. Well, I stitched the white 2 over 2 because this is 32 count. For some reason, I stitched all the red on this piece. I mean, all the red. 1 over 2. I'm like, oh, I don't want to rip that out. And I thought, well, maybe I go back and just do the top leg of all the stitches with another strand. And I said, I'm leaving it. Grandpa's truck just needs a new paint job. So it's a little thinner. Everything else is 2 over 2. Just all the red is 1 over 2. But, you know, it's an older truck. Yeah, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And then when I finished that one, I picked up a Nora and I stitched all the stitches, thought I had the beads, did not have the beads, had to order the beads. And while I was waiting for that to come in, I picked up this one by My Big Toe Designs, Nothing But the Blood, and I finished this. This is 1 strand over 2 threads on 36 count. This is Lakeside Linens, yeah. This is Lakeside Linens Vintage Lentil. I see this in a square frame on the wall. I used all the called for colors. I just used 1 strand instead of 2. And there's 3 Weeks dye works, the red, the green, and this dark brown, and then this light brown is a DMC. But you could use all DMC too. I think it would look great. So I finished that one. And then by then I had the beads. And so I finished that one. And then the day I finished that one, the day after, this one arrived. Darling Dairy. And this one I made sure that my red is 2 strands over 2. So I finished that one up. This was over the graduation. I did this one in May. My goal is when this one was released in April, so I stitched it in May. So May's, which is Grandma's Quilt block, that's going to be released in May. I'll stitch that in June. That way, I should be able to start assembling them in October. But yeah, I was over graduation, so some days I was able to stitch, some days I wasn't. It's just those last minute details that take up your time. I really like the wagon on this, and the chicken is really cute. I'm not huge on stitching cows, but putting all these pieces together, it works. So the piece that I was stitching, waiting for the beads and all that, so I finished, just one moment. Sorry about that. We usually take the puppies out during the day and all that, but they need to rest to get better, and so I have to do some juggling and stuff. Anyway, I finished Nothing But the Blood on the 28th of April, and I finished this one on the 29th of April, so I could count a stitch from stash. But it's this one, Miss Solar Ellipse. Going closer, look at all the beads, and all the lines in her wings. That's acrylic, and it just looks amazing. Gives it a lot of depth. Now I know I took a chance on this red, and it's not everybody's cup of tea to stitch on red like this. This is Phoenix by Picture This Plus, 32 count. I took a chance. And now her sister stitched on kind of a bold, in-your-face color. But I saw the dots, and on the picture they looked redder. They're actually more of a red, brown, red, orange. So you could still see them. They don't totally disappear into the fabric. And I started by stitching down here, and I thought, oh, this is not going to look good. Should I just rip it all out and try another piece of fabric? But then I went and did this wing, and I started adding colors, and I'm like, no, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good. And did this wing, did the center and her face, then I went down and finished the skirt. And just the stitching alone, it looked fabulous. And then added the beads. I'm like, yeah, this was the perfect fabric for my solar ellipse. I know this isn't everybody's cup of tea, and this color was not hard to stitch on. I thought it would be harder to stitch on, and it wasn't. There's just enough modeling in it. I don't know if you can tell that it does give it some zing. So she's going with me to San Antonio. I don't know if I should press her before I leave, because I have to pack it up again. Oh well. And so is her sister, Miss Lole's Dagger Wing. This is also 32 count. Not getting the right color. The garbage man is outside, so the dogs are barking. Hidden Treasures by Fiberlicious. She turned out so pretty. This fabric I received it as a fabric of the month, and I was kind of nervous trying to figure out what to stitch on it, because I don't stitch Halloween by choice, and a lot of people said, oh, I'll use that to stitch Halloween. I didn't know, and then I thought, well, I wonder, because the browns, I didn't want the browns to just kind of be brown and boring. But she's going Bella Vita. This is my color conversion of Bella Vita. If you are interested in finding more information about this, please look at, I did a video on how I did all this and what I used for what color-wise. I did a video on it. I think it's number 67. I'll try and link it below. So she's going with me. That was 32 count Arctic by Picture This Plus, in case you were wondering. As is Siren Song Mermaid. 32 count Serene, Picture This Plus. She's beads, 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 beads. Oh my, she's heavy with beads. And she's so pretty. Queen Anne's Lace, the original. 32 count Joblin, Georgia Peach, Fabrics by LJ. And if you're stitching this, these light green beads, I encourage you to buy 2 packages, because I ran out. And I didn't run out by like 3. I ran out by 30 or more. And there's a krennic here in her wing and on her legs. If you get a brand new spool, you should be good. Yeah, because I think I had a brand new spool, and I think I had 1 length left when I was done. Excuse me. Queen Anne's Lace, my color conversion. 32 count Joblin, Ice Princess, Under the Sea Fabrics. She's got her sweater and her boots, but not obviously her beads. I've also done a video specifically on this piece, so if you are interested, I can't remember the exact number. I'll try and link it below. And I just talk about this piece, what color I used where, and so that way if you're not on Facebook, you still have access to that information. I did put a PDF in some Facebook groups, and those videos tell you which groups that they are in. Also San Antonio. Now this one went with me to Cincinnati. Joblin Twilight Blue, Autumn Queen. love this one. So that one is going with me, as is this one. She also went with me to Cincinnati. Red, 32 count French lace. French lace is actually the called for, or what the model was stitched on that piece. I usually change the fabric out, but I didn't for that piece. Oh, and this one's going with me too. This is the round robin that my friends that I met in Cincinnati and we stitched on each other's piece. Morning Glory, geranium, water lily, wisteria, holly, bluebell, and orchid. And these are design elements from those designs. This is 28 count cashel. It's green. Sorry, I don't know beyond that. I've lost the tag. But those 8 pieces are going to go with me to San Antonio in my carry-on, because the airline can lose my underwear, but they're not losing my stitching. Oh, kid drama. Drama, drama, drama. Mom's doing a video. Let's go after each other. Anyway, so I stitched on that. Or no, I'm sorry, those are the finishes I'm bringing to San Antonio. Where did I put the projects I'm going to stitch on? Oh, I left them over here. Excuse my reach. Okay, I have decided to bring 3 projects, and I made this bag. The license plates. What I did not realize when I took the fabric up and the lady was cutting it, So Creative apparently is a store in Wilmington, Delaware, a quilting store. Eat, Pray Quilt is in McCall, Idaho. The lady who cut it, she used to work at So Busy in Fargo, North Dakota. And then there's Nuts with Bolts in Midland, Ontario. So these are actual quilt shops, or they were at the time they designed the fabric, in the US and Canada. Thought that was kind of cool, and then this matches. And I use Primitive Stitcher's tutorial, and I'll try and link that below. But instead of a different lining fabric, I just used the same for my accent and my lining. That's another option. So I'm going to bring Aphrodite and 32 count Belfast, Sea God, Under the Sea Fabrics. It is opalescent. And here it is. So I'm going to work on that a little bit. Although, who goes to a stitching retreat? Actually to stitch? But my goal is to get a few stitches in. I will need to take breaks and go to my room and rest. And my friends said that they would make sure I did. And this is another bag I made in the lining fabric. The Very Hungry Caterpillar is one of my favorite kid books of all time. So I made that. And then this is Lily. And 32 count. Every leaf is a flower. I don't have much. Just that much. So do a little stitching on her. Both of those are on my Year of Whips. And then another bag I made, this one. And yellow with white polka dots. This is 32 count masquerade, picture this plus. This is a new start. This is going to be Where for Art Thou. Where for Art Thou is in 3 pieces, and I'm sorry, they should have printed the entire pattern on the 3rd part. So I'll try and insert a picture here of the piece. But I actually plan on starting that one during the retreat. There we go. I also made this bag, measuring tapes, and then they had thimbles with a needle. Thought that was cute. I have like 10 or 12 other bags cut. I just ran out of vinyl, and I have not been strong enough to go back to the quilt shop. I had these cut out prior to my surgery, and I was able to sew on them over a couple days, but I just haven't had strength to go back to the shop, or time, really. But when my mom and I were out here on May 4th, I picked up this one by Silver Creek Samplers. It's called Freedom Reigns. I like the pattern. I don't like the colors. Besides the red, I don't like the barn colors. I don't know. So I'm going to just go through my overdyes and choose colors. And then from Blackbird Designs, I saw this one in March, America the Beautiful. Found out that this was out of print, so I went back. I thought, oh, I wonder if they still have it, and they did. So this one's an out of print pattern. And then I got these two, Blackbird Designs, Octopus's Garden and Yellow Submarine. This is part of a 6-part series. I don't really like the other parts. I like these two because when Gary from Fiber Talk interviewed Barbara and Alma, that was my grandmother's name, so I remembered that, from Blackbird Designs, they talked about how they stitched a piece. They took a color copy of that piece, and then they mounted the color copy onto a box, or they showed a variety of things, and I thought, that's brilliant. I want to put stitching in my bathroom. My bathrooms do not have any windows. It's always kind of sticky in there, and I thought, oh, the stitching would be ruined unless I make a color photocopy, and then put them in my bathroom. So that's what I'm going to do with Octopus's Garden and Yellow Submarine. And these both call for Gentle Arts, but they do give DMC conversions. So I have not decided if I'm going to do the DMC colors or go through I have an extensive Carrie's Creation. I don't have every Carrie's Creation cotton color. There's some alliteration for you. But I have a number of them and figure out what works. And then picked up, this is 36 count Fathom. Picture this plus. And I just love the modeling on this. I thought, oh, you know, a submarine, kind of underwater, that greenish, yeah. This piece is going to be kind of tight to stitch both pieces on, but my mom and I were talking. This seaweed here and this border here would not be needed. Neither would this border up here. I think this one will be needed. So if I remove those pieces, I can fit both on the same piece of fabric and then eventually cut them apart. Or even when I'm in San Antonio, I could look for another piece of fabric. I don't know. But I picked that up. My mom gifted those to me. She also found some nice pieces of fabric for herself. I also purchased Muka. Now, I will admit this design is very busy, but when I went debated. First of all, I see this, just stitching this as a cute little Christmas ornament, these candelabra. But then there are other design elements in here that I've wanted to do color conversion and stuff on other miras. I was trying to figure out, okay, how can I convert that part that would look like a Nora? Well, if I take a piece from a Nora chart and put it on another Nora chart, problem solved. And I love her countenance. But I am going to change this a lot. I see her with darker skin and shorter hair. I just, her countenance, she's beautiful. I think she would be a beautiful black woman. And I used to work with a lovely lady named Barb. For some reason this pattern reminds me of her. Without the, her hair is kind of interesting, so cutting that, those bun twist thingies off, she reminds me of Barb a lot. Just kind of her countenance and her, how she's sitting, I don't know. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to make some changes to mine. You don't have to make changes to yours. I'm making changes to mine. This one is Harmony, because I have rhythm, and I have rhythm, people. No, trust me, you would go, what you smoking? I don't have rhythm. But rhythm is another in this series, and then there are 3 others, and I was looking at possibly stitching them all on the same piece of fabric. Because of how their bodies are, it would be kind of cool. I don't know. I have to get the other 3 before I can decide that. Thistle and beads. Got these through Just Add Threads on Facebook. Marie. And Marie had a giveaway for Adia from, I won it. Yay, so that'll be coming. I ordered these through her, and I ordered those through her because when I ordered Muka, I said, why don't you throw this one in, because no pattern should travel alone. And then Castor Bean. I don't really like her mask, so I think I'm going to leave her mask off. I love her gloves, but I don't like the mask. So I think I'm just going to leave the mask off or change the color of the mask. Anyway, and some beads. There's 2 beads on that one. Fabric of the month, Fiberlicious. This is Poseidon's Cave, April's color. And blue, green, kind of blue pink. Think of water, your reflections on water. That's Poseidon's Cave, and I get 32 count Belfast. And this one came yesterday. It's Maize, it's Sun Kiss. Pink with kind of orangey browns. So yeah, I gotta figure out what to stitch on these. I stitched a little on this one. Use What You Possess by All Through the Night. Use what talents you possess. The woods would be silent if no birds sang there except those that sang best. I liked that. It's very outside my normal stitching. But this is 36. I think this is 36 count. It's either 32 or 36. No, 1 strand, 36 count. Putty, Weeks Dye Works. Someone, I mentioned I didn't like Weeks Dye Works lower counts, and someone said that she agreed, but she liked their upper counts, the higher counts. And so I have liked this one. It's 36 count. I have liked it. So, and I'm not using Called for Colors. I am using Carrie's Creation Cotton Threads. 1 strand over 2 threads. The one that really has captured my attention is this one, Grasshopper Pie. This is on my Year of Whips list. My friend gifted me the pattern and the beads for my birthday a couple years ago, and I started a couple years ago and then had mini dot. So now I'm getting back to it, and this one has my attention. This is on my Year of Whips list. It's 28 count Joblin, Queen Anne's lace. Here is where I'm at. I did, okay, let me fold this. I stitched this quadrant first, and then I started on this one, and I screwed up this corner the first time I did it. So I had to remove all those stitches because I could not fudge it. And as I carefully removed a strand, then I would go to this quadrant and put the strand in. There were sections I had to cut off and forget about, but that's what I did. So now this quadrant is complete, and I'm getting this one. There's just a little bit here and here and here, and this quadrant will be done. And then I gotta do that. So I might have this done by the end of May. Yay! And if I do, I'm counting it stitch from stash. I'm counting it $30 because it's all Dinky Dye silk. Oh, yeah, it's all Dinky Dye silk, 2 strands over 2 threads. And there's lots of beads, which I haven't put in yet. My favorite color on this piece is this one right here. And it's also this one right here. It's called Gidgee. Gidgee. I must say Dinky Dyes has some interesting names. Some of them I cannot get my tongue to say. Gidgee I can. But that's, I don't know why, but that's my favorite color in this piece. So that's the one I've been stitching on the most and posting the most. So I don't know how long this video is going to be. Hopefully it won't take forever to upload. But I'm going to go to San Antonio. I've never been to Texas. So I look forward to that, although it's supposed to be 90 the entire time I'm there. For me, that'll be an adjustment. Because we're in the 70s now, which is so nice. But, yeah, 90. Yes, I'm starting to pack my bags. I'll have a checked bag and a carry-on. I'll make sure nothing is over 20 pounds. Both my checked and my carry-on will have wheels, and I will use them. I've already made that promise because, yeah, I've pushed myself and then regretted it later many times since my surgery, and I don't want to do that anymore. So, yeah, that's all. I'm going to do, hopefully I can do a video during the retreat, some kind of vlog thing. I'll definitely take pictures. I will definitely take pictures. But I look forward to it. It's just nice to get out of town. And I'll have my own room, my own bathroom that I don't have to stand in line for. I don't have to share. I don't have to clean. Yeah. I have 11 boys, people. Yeah, it's shorter than they think. Just saying. Them's the facts. But thank you for subscribing, and thank you for watching and commenting. I love your comments. Although YouTube refuses to let me know when there's comments, and sometimes I get busy and forget to check. If that happens and you need to ask a question, feel free to ask a question. It might be easier to send me a question through my email, which I'll put below, mondotstitches@gmail.com. And yeah, I hope you all are having good weather in the States. Well, the entire world. I don't want you all to have bad weather. But yeah. So I'll put this together and put some pictures in. And those